And then when I graduated high school, I was like, screw college. I'm going to keep doing this. I'm making money, like $100 is being handed to me for doing something I love. Like, let's keep this going.
Totally.
And it was all referral based. Um, and my business, I kept that going until I was 23, 24 years old. So that's a really amazing run for somebody who had never been taught business. I didn't even identify as an entrepreneur. I didn't know the word.
What? What
Literally,
did
like
you think you were doing? What did you think you were doing? Was that just like your job?
I'm gonna be so honest with you. It might sound a little sad, but I'm just gonna be so real. I thought I was like just a little raccoon trying to like live in this world and make money. Like I was like a hustler through and through. Like I saw it as like I saw it almost negatively. I thought like, "Oh, I can't go get a regular job. Like I'm not good enough." And then I was like, and I'm not in college, so I can't get a degree. I can't join the workforce. Like, I actually saw it as a negative thing. And it was more like, I need to survive and make money. And this makes sense to me. It makes sense to do this and make $100 at the end of the day than to like go attempt to send out another resume. And so for me, it was literally a survival thing. And I actually felt kind of shameful about it because I lost all my friends and family. They were like, "Oh, you're not doing college and that's weird." And I was too rebellious for those people. And then the people who weren't doing college, I was too responsible for them because I was also making money and was able to afford my own apartment in San Francisco. So
Wow.
I
And
built
you
that business
felt
up fast.
shame because you could have your own apartment in San Francisco. I couldn't even have my own apartment in San Francisco, and I'm a grown ass woman with an MBA.
That's why I am being real about it because back then I honestly didn't understand. I didn't have perspective. I literally thought that I was scraping by and like my I had family members call me a gypsy because they thought that it was like and I was like, but I wasn't scamming people because it's like, okay, you want this?
Yeah, they
Here's
were
the
scamming
exchange.
you at that time. They were paying you $15 an hour instead of like the $100 an hour you probably deserved.
Literally, I was like years in, and there were still clients that could negotiate me to like minimum wage, and I would just take it because, again, I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a business owner, I'm smart as fuck, like this is my thing. I was thinking, like, oh, I just have to get the next person to say yes, and like I'm so lucky, and like I totally took it at the it took me a while until I woke up and I looked at myself and I was like, oh, I'm a fucking boss. Like I've
Yeah.
created freedom of lifestyle, of time.
Yeah.
Like I'm rich as hell in all these different ways. And it took a long time for that confidence to turn on and for me to like take ownership as a fucking entrepreneur businesswoman in this world.
It's definitely like a mindset shift.
Yes, it is. It's so crazy how that's such a thing.
Okay, so you got started in high school and you did that thing till you were 23, making videos for people. And then what?
So So I was about 23, 24, and one of the videos went viral. And my client, she she hired me to make a YouTube series where it was like webisodes of her making this product. And that was how we were marketing it. And it was really just me and her, and like she had the app development team and like a VA, and a secondary CEO. And this literally blew up overnight. And we were trending on Twitter. We had national and international media talking about us. Like we were on Fox, CBS. We are getting called from every media
Wow.
news. Everyone's talking about it. Later, Black Mirror would go on to say they're inspired by us and made a whole episode about us, Nosedive, if anyone wants to watch it.
Go
And
watch it. You guys better go watch it. It's amazing. All right.
And that was essentially, that episode is what her product was about. And I was the marketer behind it. And so I got the heat for it because people, this was very controversial and there was a lot of haters about it. That's why it went viral. And me being a 23, 24-year-old who was, again, remembering that mindset of like, I didn't think I was some boss. I was just
You
like,
were
oh my God.
trying to get by. You were just taking the job
I
that
was,
said yes next.
yeah. And the amount she paid me is ridiculous for the results I got. And I had people sending me hate mail being like, there was theories on the internet that I was this huge media corporation doing guerrilla marketing and doing this as a gimmick to get attention to my real business. They thought they thought
Whoa.
it was a fake product to, and that Calliope Productions, that's what I was called at the time, that Calliope Productions was actually what was being marketed, which I think is such a fucking flex, like that people thought I was a giant team. There was hate comments saying like, ooh, they really have the whole like indie filmmaker thing down. And it was like, yeah, I am an indie filmmaker. I'm literally
Wow.
a young girl in San Francisco all by myself doing this.
Doing a really good job,
Yeah.
obviously.
And I was shook to my core.
Of course.
And I, instead of seeing it as a big success, it was actually one of the scariest, most stressful times of my life. And the client just like bailed from the project. Um, And I was the one who lived in San Francisco. And so it was like really scary because all these people hated me. And I literally walked into one of my, I was also a directing teacher at the time at a high school. I walked into my directing class and they were talking about my project. And I was like, yo, you know, that's me, right? And they were like, oh, like they're sitting around talking shit about it, thinking it's like some big thing. And I'm like, that's me, you guys. Like, it, so
So
anyway,
everybody
that was,
thought you were like some paid actress to be the face of this huge corporation that was
yeah.
tricking everyone into talking about
Yeah,
the
it was
thing,
like
the fake product.
the
Because
fake
the
product.
product was so outlandish that
Yeah,
people said to themselves, this can't be real.
yeah. That, because you know how the internet is, like there's
Yes,
always
there's
a
always a
conspiracy.
conspiracy theory. Yeah.
So I was a conspiracy, which
Oh
is,
my-
looking back, I'm just like, hell yeah. Like
That's
I'm so,
awesome.
but at the time, it set me on this entire journey where I closed my business for a long time. My reputation was kind of tanked. Because I didn't know how to spin the story. Like now,
Exactly.
yeah, now it's no big deal. But back then I didn't know how to strategize that. And I didn't have the confidence. I didn't have the brand. And anyway, I started to learn, like I started to study. I was like, what went wrong here and what went right? And it really came down to me realizing what branding is and why branding is so important. So then I made a new business where I was like, okay, I'm not just marketing and making marketing videos because all the issues my clients are having comes down to their brands not being right. Um,
Right. Right.
that
Because
app,
somebody who was more experienced, she probably went to a bunch of people that were more experienced and they were like, not touching this with a 10-foot pole.
exactly.
Unless, right, unless she would have found somebody who was a little bit devious and strategic enough to say, if I can do a really good job with this, I can just be divisive enough to bring a lot of attention to myself. But she didn't find that person, she found you, and you were just willing
Yeah,
to do it.
yeah, exactly. And I even told her at one point, I was like, look, we're getting a lot of negative backlash, and I think this is how we should address the public. And she said no, because I had positioned myself as the filmmaker. I hadn't positioned myself as I am your brand expert. You need to listen
Right.
to me. And I
Right.
didn't have that knowledge yet. But now, and it wasn't just her. There were other clients who wanted to put out commercials. And I would look at them and be like, look, the commercial idea will work, but your audience doesn't make sense. And I didn't know how to articulate that yet, but I was like, I see a disconnect. And they'd be like, no, make it anyway. And then it would flop because it's to the
Right.
wrong audience.
Right.
And so that was part of my big like understanding was like, okay, in order for marketing things to work, you have to have your brand right. So when I relaunched my business, I was like, I am a branding person. Like, yes, I'll make you a commercial if I really like you and like we're at that level as
Right.
clients.
Right.
Like totally, that's on the table. But we're not even going to talk about your stupid commercial if you're not laser focused on what are you selling and who are you selling it to. And I know
Yep.
that sounds like some entrepreneurs will hear that and be like, that doesn't make sense. And then others will be like, that makes all the sense in the world. Cause like you're not just selling like, I'm not just selling a mug. Like
Right.
there's a story behind, well, what is this mug specifically?
Right. Right.
What is, who is this mug for? Who is this mug
Right.
not for? And
Right.
that's the kind of nuance you need to have successful marketing. So, so many lessons learned throughout all of this.